let's see how this goes with this guy, the candle guy.
What foul energy gives life to you?
So these level 80. Pretty easy. I played that pretty sloppy too. Ooh, double exile. Let's go. Tier 2 map. Interesting. It's essentially a tier 16. I juiced up my bosses with points, and apparently I get tier 2 maps, but okay. Yeah, that's a good one to kind of break down. That wasn't bad. I played that a little sloppy with my setup. Like I missed my Mana Tempest off the rip. It took too long to get it out, and while I had like conductivity up and stuff and whatever. But all right, I'm gonna break it down one more time in terms of everything I've learned so far as a new PoE player, to the point of knowing essentially nothing. And if you watch my previous 2 videos, it's been like a journey. I keep sharing my experiences as I progress, and like I keep telling you guys, I get stronger and stronger and stronger. We are insanely strong, literally giga blasting tier 15 maps, +1s. This was a +1 with the irradiated or whatever, and yeah, and like a rare tier 15 map, whatever. But anyways, we are absolutely killing it, and we're definitely we're still playing Spark. I've been playing it since the rip, and like I said, it's just the build has been from start to finish. It's just felt awesome the entire time. Honestly, my experience with PoE, I'm kind of blown away with how good their early access is. Just a quick little shout out to the PoE, the devs and stuff. You guys, I am thoroughly impressed. But aside from that, like I said, I'll break it down and quickly give a shout out to there are actually 3 people that essentially helped me really get this dialed in. So I was low-key trading this weekend to get better gear, to cap my res, you know, stuff like that. And I talked to some random guy about chaos resist. Like, yeah, I'm lacking chaos resist. It's kind of hard to get. He's like, hey, you don't even need it. You just need CI. And I was like, what's that? You know? And now everybody kind of knows about it. I've seen many videos over the weekend about it. So yeah, what CI is over here is chaos inoculation. It gives you 1 life, but then you become immune to chaos damage. But when you stack shield, you know, it's really the way to do it, because if you know anything about energy shield actually, like, its weakness is chaos damage. So I feel like honestly, it just makes sense, because chaos damage does double damage to energy shield. It's like its only weakness, or its major weakness, I guess. But anyways, aside from that, so that guy kind of told me about CI, and then I was like, oh, okay, you know, I looked into it, whatever. And he gave me another little tidbit. He said, hey, you know, I kind of learned a lot from a guy named Squishy, on YouTube. So I went and checked him out, and sure enough, the dude was very insightful. I think he was like the top Stormweaver before, like, he went on holiday, but he was like the rank 1 Stormweaver at the time, like, you know, days ago, but he went on holiday or whatever. But anyways, so shout out to that guy, because his source of information was absolutely solid, helped me learn a lot. And that's what, again, I'm just going to try to share everything that I've learned up to this point, and try to, hopefully I'll remember everything, because it's a lot. Like I said, I'm new to PoE, but from start to finish, I've been blasting my whole way through with and I wouldn't say blasting like easy. Like I said, the game has, that's the beauty of the game. The game does have its difficulty, especially early on, but it's very rewarding. And I like I said, with this character specifically, I feel I can literally feel myself getting stronger and stronger and stronger with every level, like I've said in the previous videos. And now I'm like to tier 15 giga blasting, right? And keep in mind, you'll see my mana is 2200. I'm not actually doing, there's a busted tech right now that most people are doing, at least any of the other videos I've seen. The squishy guy wasn't doing it. I'm not doing it, but a lot of other people are. And I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, like, it's probably going to get nerfed, heads up, if you go that route. I'm trying to go a route that will hopefully not get nerfed. It might by proxy, but I doubt it. Even if it does, I think it'll be kind of easy to adapt, hopefully. But yeah, the broken stuff, I'll talk about that real quick too before I break everything down. But so like I said, chaos inoculation, huge for energy shield. But the broken tech right now that a lot of people are using is they're using mind over matter. You can see I'm not using it. And they're using Eldritch battery, right? So those 2 points, with the key to make that to break it, I guess, is this amulet right here, the everlasting gaze, right? So for whatever reason, the everlasting gaze in combination with Eldritch battery and mind over matter, it breaks it in the sense of like you still get a ton, like 5k 6k shield, and you get like 4k mana. And the thing is, when you have like 4k mana, your damage scales like crazy, and like it's insane. It's definitely gonna get fixed, and I wouldn't even call that a nerf. It's just gonna get fixed. But so again, I just want to express that before breaking anything down, that that's what a lot of people are doing, and I'm not knocking it, whatever. I'm trying to build away from it though, so that I'm not like essentially affected by it when it does get fixed, right? At least that's the game plan. We'll see if that works out or not. But and again, I'm not knocking it. I'm just trying to avoid the inevitable nerf. It's definitely a fix, but some people will call it a nerf. But that being said, so yeah, I've been playing Spark since the beginning, new to PoE. Journey's been awesome, and here we are blasting tier 15s, and it's super fun. I honestly, this is like one of the most fun early access games I've played in a very long time. Hence why, like I said, I'm really impressed overall. Nothing's perfect by any means, right? But man, this is a nice treat for an early access game. But yeah, so then on top of it, so Squishy was one guy that I had to make sure to mention in terms of, because I did get some absolutely awesome information from that guy. And there was one other guy as well that the guy that initially told me about Chaos Annihilation and Squishy, he also mentioned another guy, and I think Squishy even mentioned this other guy too. His name is Captain Lance, and that guy was a good source of information as well. So unfortunately, I don't know the name of the guy that I was trading with, because it was just a bizarre random, we were just talking as we were trading, and I wish I would have added him, honestly, because like I said, had he not even said anything, I probably would have never, been able to do this within the last couple days. That being said, another thing to keep in mind, it does require some pretty good gear. I've spent the last 2 days trading as much as I can, farming as much currency as I can, and trading and trying to get res capped while still hitting, like, my goal was I wanted to be 11k shield, at least 2k mana, so I got a little bit more mana than I even expected, and well, definitely over 10k shield, I should say. I was close to 11, so I was like, I want to squeeze to 11, but as long as I was over 10k shield, 2k mana, and res cap, that's kind of what I was shooting for in terms of my gear. But don't overlook res cap. Res cap is super important in the game. And so I'm 76 everywhere. Chaos, like I said, I have 45, but that doesn't matter because of Chaos Annihilation. But if you look, I'm actually overcapped, and I did that on purpose because a lot of these maps I've noticed in here, you give you -10 or -15 resist. So I tried to go a little bit over to kind of, accommodate for that. So, but yeah, res is super important, but also super hard to get with really good gear, especially with a lot of mana and whatever. So like I said, I actually found a perfect jeweler orb, and I traded that for Exile because they're worth a lot, and that's actually how I got started with really good gear. And this wand I would not have had I not done that, and I don't regret it for a second, because this wand was like a 2000 DPS upgrade when I put it on. So I'll show you the gear real quick first, since I'm already looking at it, then I'll break down the passives, and then I'll break down the skills, and or actually no, we'll do gear, skills, then passives. Gear, the main focus on the wand is obviously I'm trying to get as much damage as possible with as much mana as possible. But you also want cast speed, because cast speed is super important in the build. I get cast speed everywhere I can. And all level lightning spells, the only way this wand really could be better, in my opinion, is, I mean, the crit, whatever. I am still using crit, so it works for me. But if this was +4 to all lightning skills, it'd be, I don't even know worth how much. It'd be insane. Even as is, it's insane. But so yeah, all damage, lightning skills are important. I would say mana, lightning skills, and cast speed are the most 3 important. Obviously, you want to get like at least some spell damage or lightning. Both is insane, but as long as you're getting one along there, like, to get started, that's what I'd recommend. When it comes to the helmet, energy shield, obviously as much as you can get there. And you'll see I'm doing max life. This one has a really low amount of max life, but mana was more important to me, and obviously res cap, right? So I need at least 2 res per piece is what I was trying to do for the most part, and then obviously adding a socket wherever I could for whatever I needed. So this one, you'll see most of my gear is the same. It goes along the lines of energy shield, max life, max mana, and then resist at least 2 resistances, right? That's like the main thing I tried to focus on for every piece. And again, like I talked about the amulet, this is really the, I wouldn't say the bread and butter, because like it's very strong, but the way I'm using it, like I said, I'm not taking advantage of the MOM/Eldritch tech. If you do that, it makes it way strong, like insane strong, but even without, it's super strong. And you'll see on it, it says allocates piercing shot, and I'll talk about that when we get to the skills and passive, because the reason for that is basically I drop piercing in the link of my spark and gain it through anointing it through the amulet, which I should mention, I didn't know how to anoint, and I'm sure a lot of people watching the video, if you're on YouTube, it'll be in the same predicament I was in. If you look at your tree, right? And so for me, I wanted piercing shot, and this is where, shout out again to the squishy guy, this is where I kind of learned this from him, and that's why, and it makes sense because if you do pierce through the link on your spark, you lose 30% damage, right? So it's a no-brainer to try to do it through here. You don't get hit with that 30% damage reduction, and then it also adds another, another gem of your choice, right? So, but anyway, so for piercing shot, and this works for anything, you just hover over whatever it is you want to get. Like, let's say you want to get, whatever it is, you hover over it, hold Alt, and on the bottom, you'll see it says distilled emotions, disgust, guilt, disgust. That's what you need in order to anoint it. So again, whatever you're trying to do, just go hover over it, hold Alt, and it'll tell you the 3 things you need. And then when you get those 3 things, you just right click on it. When it's in your inventory, it'll bring a little pop-up thing, and it's a no-brainer on how to do it from there. You just, like I said, right click on the distilled, it'll open up a little window, you put your amulet in there, and then the 3 in whatever combination it said, and you instill it. It's that easy. So yeah, amulet for now, everlasting gaze, focus, again, energy shield, max mana, level all skills, and cast speed, of course. Again, cast speed everywhere you can get it. Level all skills is one of the strongest things in the game. And yeah, so I actually found that's probably the best item I've found so far. I traded for this, I found that insane. Rings, again, like I said, it's pretty much all my pieces of gear. It's gonna have cast speed, some type of 2 double res, and max life, max mana. Again, double res, or this one is cold res, all res, cast speed, life, mana. And the reason I'm doing life mana is because I've been using Ghost Wraith since like level 5, not even exaggerating. This is honestly, I think it's the first unique that I found in the game. I put it on and I've literally used it since like level 5, and I'm still using it. But if you look at my shield real quick, right? So it says 11,000. Watch when I take it off. It goes down to 5,900, right? So this, I don't know if this might be a bug too, honestly, because you can see my life is 1, but it's still obviously taking from the pool. So I don't know if that'll get fixed too at some point. If it does, I'm not too worried about it, because all I'll do is I was actually thinking about trying a different chest over this anyway, like a high ES chest with spirit on it, so that I can get like Grim Feast or something like that. So again, I'm not too worried about that. If that does end up, if that is something that's unintentional and actually gets fixed. I'm just, like I said, I've been using it since the rip, and obviously I have other things to trade for first, and you can see the increase it gives you. So yeah, I'm using that still. And then for the boots, again, max life, mana, double res, movement speed. Of course, you definitely need movement speed, and honestly I'd like to have at least 30 but 25, this is the best I can do for now. Belt, again, max life, max mana, double res, and you'll see my gloves, really high stats in the ones I want, but then it has 2 dead stats. Accuracy rating is actually, I put an extra Exile on this after I got it, and of course it rolled accuracy rating. I don't know what it is. Anytime I get a good piece of gear that I really like, and I got another hit on it with an Exalt, it's always accuracy rating. I don't know, it's a curse, man. But yeah, so that's my gear overview. Like I said, that's where it's at. It's really good. I do honestly like the stats that are most important to me are really high rolls, and that's what I went for. Although they pretty much every piece of gear has at least a dead stat, right? So I have room to improve. The main focuses were, again, max life, max mana, and resistances, aside from anywhere you could get cast speed. And then, of course, mana regen is huge too, with the way Tempest works. Tempest and Archmage. So yeah, and then when it comes to sockets, again, it's gonna be a little bit different for everybody, like based on what res you get for each piece. And you know, you're gonna have to make it work however it works for you to get your res right, and that's kind of the trickiest part of the whole scenario with gearing. But I wish, that being said, that they would let us resocket. I don't know why. It's kind of funny. That's like the only complaint I really even have right now, is not being able to resocket my stuff. Not sure. Hopefully that'll change at some point, but yeah, that's a gear rundown. And then we'll look at skills real quick and talk about that. So skills, when it comes to skills, for now, Spark, you can see. So another thing that I see a lot of people overlooking is the quality of your gems actually helps a lot. If you hold Alt over it, you'll see it says additional effects from quality. You get 4 extra projectiles from Spark. That's a lot of damage. So make sure you're getting that quality. If you're for like me, I didn't even know about it really as a new player for a while, and it makes a big difference. That being said, also when it comes to Archmage, this thing skyrockets your damage by getting that quality 20% as well. I would prioritize those two first. I would definitely do Spark and Archmage first, and then after that, I think, yeah, I'm working on conductivity next, just to get more negative res especially for the maps, because like I said, for whatever reason, I'm getting a lot of maps that have like 50 more elemental resistances from all types or whatever. So I'm really trying to get more pen just for that reason alone. But then, so aside from the quality stuff, when it comes to Spark, I'm running tempo, persistence, acceleration, and inspiration. Inspiration because of Archmage. That's the other one. Acceleration because projectile speed just is more damage, because if you look at how it works, it goes all over the place, like back and forth and stuff. So the more times it goes through an enemy, the more damage it does. So you want to prioritize projectile speed and skill effect duration, because then they do it for longer, right? So then if you have a lot of attack speed, look at how that stacks up, and it just sits there and keeps doing it. So if you get frozen or if you get stunned or whatever, you're still pumping out damage. And you just got to get used to like pre-firing into things. Like if you're gonna open a strong box, throw down your orb, start juicing up the whole area, then open stuff up, and everything just melts. That's a little pro tip, or a little tidbit. I don't know, pro tip, but hopefully it's definitely something that helps me with like not getting surrounded immediately and just dying when like starting an event or whatever it may be. But yeah, if you look at my sheet, this is what it looks like right now. If you want to compare yours to mine. Casts per second, 4.6. My crit chance, like I said, I have a little bit. 19 projectiles, 5-second duration. Now I'm working on speed. The speed should be easily over 100%. It's just in the past I don't have enough points to do it yet. But yeah, and my pen is a little lower than I'd like right now. Like I said, especially where I'm at in the game and what I'm seeing. I come across a lot of either lightning resist stuff, or like I said, maps that have like 50 all resist, and you definitely notice it. You'll see my pierce chance. This is a good time to talk about that too. Like I said, if you saw in the amulet, I had the anoint for pierce, which is only 50%, and I'm actually at 66 right now. The reason for that is I just haven't been able to get the jewels, so I'm getting the other 50%. Again, shout out to Squishy, because this is where I got that from. Your jewels is where I don't have, this is just a different one, but your jewels, you can get pierce enemies, but they're really hard to get, honestly. I had to pay 30 Exile for my first one, and now I'm back up to like another 30 Exile, and hopefully I'll be able to get another one until, I get it that 100%. That will make a big difference, I do believe, having 100% pierce. Like I said, the whole point is to get everything as stacked as possible, as long as possible, and with 100% pierce, it just literally melts everything, whether it's bosses, elite, it doesn't matter. Like the whole room just melts. Bosses melt. It's actually, it's super fun, I think. Some people think it's boring in the sense of like the animations. I actually like it. It lights up the whole room. I might be a bit biased because I've always liked like charge bolt type stuff, even in like Diablo 2. Like when I played Sword, charge bolt was one of my favorites. But that's besides the point. Yeah, so like I said, that's Spark. Orb of Storms, I'm using that as more of a debuff slash buff, right? So another thing here is you'll see I have Lightning Exposure, Strip Away, Conduction, and then I have Font of Mana. So again, that's all debuffs and or buffs. And so what I do is, like if I'm pushing it, let's say I'm pushing up to this room and there's mobs here, I throw out an orb in between me and the mobs and then start attacking. That way I'm getting the Font of Mana buff, but they're also having the chance to get either shocked and or debuffed by Lightning Exposure. Same thing with bosses. You kind of want to start out with your orb and try to time it. You'll get better and better as like for each boss, the more you do them, like timing when they actually are attackable, right? So you can throw this up and wait because it stays up a very long time. But you kind of got to try to get used to when to throw out your conductivity. And once you get that down, if you can start out with an orb and hit them with that conductivity right off the rip, and then you do your Tempest, I mean, you can literally pretty much one shot, not every boss, but a lot of them. Even in tier 15s, it's pretty crazy once you get the right rhythm. I didn't even have it in this one. I was a little sloppy, but it's still, you know, it's still very, very strong, right? Even if you mess up. But yeah, so for Overstorms, that's kind of the whole point of that. Conductivity is another, again, debuff to get rid of resistances. You'll see I'm running Hex Bloom in it, and the reason for that is because a lot of mobs, especially like the elemental resist mobs, they don't actually die. They die fast once you have the debuffs on them, but until then, you know, they can be a little tanky, especially if they have like more life on top of it. So yeah, for that one, the reason for Hex Bloom is all you have to do is get any mob essentially hit with it, and then every other mob, once that mob dies, it just it's like a snowball effect. So you don't even actually have to hit the rare. Like let's say you're fighting a big pack and there's a rare or whatever. As long as you hit a mob and it dies, it's going to automatically apply it to everything else, and it's just like a domino effect. And I love it. I think honestly, I think it's super, super strong. Because then, like I said, because a lot of times you're going to have to fall back, especially in big rooms and if there's frost stuff or whatever. Because really, frost seems like the most deadly thing to me, personally. So I'm trying to stay away from that and kite and whatever. Because like I said, you still got to stick and move. You can't just sit there and eat everything. Or obviously you will die. But yeah, so Hex Bloom, in my opinion, very, very big quality of life thing. Focus Curse, of course, to make it pop faster, and then Heightened Curse to make it stronger. And then for Mana Tempest, I'm just putting in Premeditation. Mastery, honestly, I don't think Mastery really, it doesn't look like it's even doing anything for it, unfortunately. There's no reason not to put something in there. And then Energy Barrier, if I get stunned, it starts my barrier up and helps. It's just to add a little bit more survivability because there's no reason not to. Archmage, nothing in it. So yeah, when it comes to skills, that's pretty much it. All that I can think of. I'm trying to make sure, like, again, I'm trying to be as helpful, give you guys every aspect of what I'm thinking as I'm using it. Again, just to be as helpful as possible for everybody. And hopefully it'll be helpful to somebody in some way with the stuff I'm trying to explain. But yeah, skills. Here, now let's look at the passives. You'll see passives. I actually didn't even do my third ascendancy yet because I've been more focused on the gear side of things. The ascendancy thing, I know it's just a matter of going to do it and figuring out how, I guess, or like doing it and, whatever, learning it. So I'm more worried about the gear itself because it seems like gear is getting more and more expensive as more people are getting higher level. And so again, I'm just trying to get the best gear I possibly can. So I focus all weekend on, I did a lot of trading. And so like I said earlier, it definitely takes a little bit to get rolling at this. I mean, it does. I guess it does and it doesn't. I've been playing it since the rip and I've felt very strong every step of the way, but getting to what I would consider blasting tier 15s, you definitely need decent, well, pretty good gear. And I think you'll be able to do 15s with less gear than I have, obviously, just maybe at a little bit slower pace, be a little bit more strategic or slow, I guess. Even me, I have to be strategic at times. Like I said, I can go pretty fast, but if I get caught, I can die, So yeah, that being said, ascendancy, I went for all Arcane Surge because again, cast speed and mana regen is what makes the build work. And then going up in here, I grab this for just the extra int spell damage because I'm grabbing the cast speed anyway. Over here is all energy shield stuff, and you'll see I grabbed energy shield here. Over here, again, more energy shield stuff. And it's kind of the same focus I've been, like I said, if you watch my previous 2 videos as I've been progressing in the game, I always talk about my focus is energy shield and building around spark, right? But I want to keep as much energy shield as possible and as much cast speed as possible because it's always felt good to me. And thankfully I was right? Like if I knew it felt good, but man, it's like after learning what I've learned over the weekend, it's like it's all coming together the way I expected it, I guess. And it's just a beautiful thing. Yeah, then you come over here and again, skill effect duration. The reason for that is exactly like it sounds like. The skill stays out longer, and that's a good thing for Spark. And then energy shield stuff, of course, and you see the little jewel sockets. And again, right now, my jewels aren't even correct per se. I mean, they're not bad. I would say the priorities would be like faster start of energy shield recharge, any kind of damage, and then of course, like I said, if you're gonna do the pierce route like I am, again, shout out Squishy because that was his idea. You need to do that through jewels. You do 50% through anointing from your amulet, and then the other 50 you have to make up, and you do that with jewels. Keep in mind, like I said, I've only gotten 1 so far, and I've been trying for like 2 days. It's really hard to get really good ones. They go fast. Over here, I'm grabbing the 40% more damage because again, I am still critting, and that's a big damage increase, at least in my opinion. Arcane Surge, again, that's a very powerful skill overall for the build because it gives you 2 of your strongest things to make it work. And then you'll see again more energy shield stuff over into the lightning stuff, and you'll see, so if you look at the lightning stuff, this is another thing. This is where Captain Lance, shout out to that guy, this is where I learned from him when it comes to doing this. This is his side of things that again, shout out to that guy, Captain, I believe it was Captain Lance, that's his name. You'll see this is orange and this is green, right? And the reason for that is, so if you see, I have weapon set 1, weapon set 2. Weapon set 1 is orange, right? You turn on weapon set 2, it's green, okay? And the point of that is, so if I go to weapon set 2, it basically removes these points and reallocates them where I want, and that's where the green is coming in, right? So you see what I did is I took these away from lightning and I took this away. And the reason I did this is because you don't really need the spell damage, because what I'm doing for my weapon set 2 is funny thing is I don't even have the staff yet because I'm prioritizing other gear first. I'm just prepping for it. But so all that I'm going to be doing with my weapon set 2 is applying my conductivity, which is a curse, and I'm going to be applying for boss fights the power sigil, right? So the sigil just buffs you. I don't think it really benefits from actual like spell damage per se, because it's giving you spell damage. It's just like a buff. So what I did, I took this away, and a big reason for that is because of this right here. You can see 10% increased mana cost. Honestly, taking that away just is a small way to min-max. See how much when I do have that, because right now, again, I don't have the swap, so I'm using it on my main one, so it is getting that big increase or whatever. You see, it costs a lot of mana to do it, right? So my thought there was to just take this away, obviously take this away, but this in addition, and the reason to make it, again, just save a little bit more mana for the burst windows to start off a little bit stronger, have a little bit more uptime, but then putting them all down into the curse stuff, right? You can see you get more curse duration, and then if you come in over here, you get faster curse activation. And what that does is basically makes it instant rather than see how it has that delay before it pops. Well, essentially doing it that way will make it insta-cast. So so it'll be easier to hit what you're trying to hit. And again, I don't even have it set up yet. I'm prepping for it. I don't actually have the staff yet to do it. But when you do get it, all you have to do is, I'm already prepped. If you look here on my Spark, you can see I only have 1 checked, and that's for weapon set 1. I have 2 unchecked. That way you can't mess it up. Orb of Storm, same thing. I have 1 checked, 2 unchecked, right? And you do that for everything, right? Mana Tempest, 1 checked, 2 you don't have checked. This one I have for both because there's no, like, it's just a passive. That one I keep both. And then for now, conductivity, you can see it's still 1, but that's again because I don't actually have the staff yet. Once I get the staff, the only thing I have to do, I'm already set up. All I have to literally do is go here, check number 2 and uncheck number 1, and I'm ready to roll. And then anytime I cast it, it automatically swaps my weapon for me, and I get the curse buffs, and also, like I said, the reduced mana cost and all that. And then I could do the power sigil, and I could do the curse to set up for my burst on boss fights and stuff like that. So that's, again, shout out to Captain Lance for that. That's what I learned from him, that I agree was a definitely a solid, big, very, very smart thing to do. So yeah, so aside from that, that's pretty much all there is to really talk about in that sense, right? Arcane intensity, no brainer for the spell damage. And like I said, you do have to, though, keep in mind, especially if you're running Archmage and you're running arcane intensity, because of the increased cost from that, you do need a lot of mana regen. So wherever you can get that in gear, you can see I have some gear with it, like my ring, I have 47% there. Some of my jewels currently have it. You might have to shift things around based on your gear, like even with points and stuff. Like if you need to try, instead of, like, for here, I have enough mana regen right now, so I got cast speed. But if you don't, like, let's say you're out of mana immediately and you can't do it, try shifting like the cast speed. Although you do want cast speed ideally, if you have no mana ever, then obviously that's bad, right? So you could try something like moving this down here for all the mana regen instead, until you get better gear or whatever you need to do. You know, just things like that maybe could help get you further until you can, you know, like I said, swap it over eventually or whatever. But yeah, when it comes to passives, I think that's about it. Like I said, the main focus, like I said, is energy shield, and make sure you're getting skill effect duration. And I don't even have it yet, but after, I'm actually going to get this node for my damage pen, and then once I finish that, then my next 3 are going to be over into speed, because like I said, speed and a skill effect duration are huge for Spark. Adds a lot of damage. And then, like we talked about earlier, Chaos Inoculation, talked a lot about that at the start. It's a no-brainer when you're playing energy shield. And again, the busted tech that probably is going to get nerfed, talked about that earlier too. Eldritch Battery, I'm choosing not to do it, in the sense of, like I said, my guess is it's going to get fixed pretty soon. But Mind Over Matter with Eldritch Battery, with the gaze, is kind of extremely it's pretty crazy. But again, so hopefully maybe once that fix happens, I should be okay, unless by some weird, because I don't see them, like, I don't think there's any reason to really nerf energy shield. Like I said, I still got to play very well. I'm very geared. I have like 130 hours in the game right now. I've spent a lot of time, a lot of focus on tuning the build and learning and getting the right gear. So it's like, it's not like you just put this on and you're going to be able to do it. You know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort, but that's the way it should be, in my opinion. You build your character up and you get super strong. And even still, like I said, if I get caught or stuck in a corner or whatever, if I play wrong, I can die very fast. I get frozen, I can die very fast. I think I've died like 3 times today. Only one of them was like a skill issue, like me being dumb. The other 2 were just got, you know? So, granted, I'm only level 88 at the moment. 12 more levels will make a big difference. Obviously, if I have every piece of gear with no dead stats, like, I do have a lot of room to grow yet too, but I haven't even touched pinnacle bosses. I haven't done anything like that. I'm just to the point of being able to farm tier 15 maps for currency, build my wealth up. Hopefully, at least that's the idea, and keep going from there. But yeah, hopefully, I think that's everything, right? I went over all the skill stuff. Talked about that, how to set it up, or at least how I'm doing it. Gear, res is important. We talked about passives, everything I could think of. Even talked about the weapon set, swapping stuff. Oh, I guess I could say when it comes to the Ascendancy, my next plan is, I would say if you need more defense, go with Heart of the Storm. Or if you want more damage, which I think I'm going to try this route first, is I'm going to go back, because I was using Tempest Caller and I really liked it. So my plan is once I do go back and do my third ascendancy, I'm gonna try Tempest Caller, and I think that'll be a W. If not, if I need more survive, like I said, then I'll go into Heart of Storm. But yeah, hopefully that helps. Like I said, I can't think of anything else in terms of. I mean, I hope I'm not missing anything. Like I said, I learned a lot this weekend. Again, shout out Squishy and Captain Lance with the Pierce tech, especially, and the weapon swap tech. That stuff is awesome. And just they're way more knowledgeable than just that too, right? Like they definitely very smart people, and a good source of information when it comes to this type of build, specifically, I guess. And they each have their own spin on it, right? That's the kind of the beauty of the game, is like you can kind of put your own spin on it the way you want to, and I don't know, it's just an awesome thing. I'm loving the game. But yeah. That being said, if you want to come kick it, don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, twitch.tv/Merkadis, come kick it. And yeah, I'm live all the time, usually in the night time, you know, late evening into the night. Usually I'm on way later than I should be. But yeah, if you got any questions or if you have any other insight, like, I'm all ears. I'm always open to insight and or, like I said, if anybody has questions, I'll try to answer best I can, whatever. But or just come kick it, have a good time, good vibes, good times, good people. That's what it's all about. And yeah, like I said, hopefully that helps. Good luck with it, and hopefully y'all be blasting.